Okay, everybody, welcome to February. It's February. Yep. Wow. To our regularly scheduled council meeting for February, Wednesday the 5th at 6 p.m. We have one council member absent, Brian Reyes. His shift as a captain in the San Antonio Police Department changed, and he was unable to make it tonight. But he will be here for our next special meeting on Friday. So, and before we actually rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, we want to take a moment of silence and recognition, if we can, for a tragedy that happened a week ago. Our city attorney, Megan Santee, tragically passed away in her sleep, and from Det Navarro. And our hearts, obviously that shocked us, and we're all getting through that, but our hearts go out to the firm, and as well as to Dan Santee and their 4 children. So if you would bow your heads for just a moment of silence, please. Amen. Thank you. If you would, rise and join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible. Thank you. Please take your seats. Proclamation time. If I could have everybody here from First United Bank come on up. Yay. Oh, we have visual aids, yes? Yes. That's good. John, it's good to see you. How you been? Awesome. Good to see you. Hi, Rob. Annabelle.
I know.
Nice to meet you. Juan? Kelly. Hi, Kelly. I saw you in the park.
She was carrying all the bags.
Okay, that's great. Welcome, First United Bank, and a proclamation on behalf of the city. Whereas Random Acts of Kindness Day is a nationally recognized annual tradition where millions of Americans come together to change the world one random act of kindness at a time. And First United Bank is seeking to complete 1 million acts of kindness through the help and generosity of residents, community leaders, churches, nonprofit organizations, and businesses in the Garden Ridge community. And United Acts of Kindness Day is a day for our community to come together to spread joy, hope, and love to friends, family, co-workers, and neighbors. And United Acts of Kindness Day positively impacts lives by extending love and allowing us to be more kind. And United Acts of Kindness Day reminds us that there is zero cost to being kind, and it only takes one small act of kindness to change a person's day for the better. Now, therefore, be it resolved that I, Rob Erickson, Mayor of Garden Ridge, Texas, do hereby proclaim February 14th, 2025 in the city of Garden Ridge as Valentine's Day, but also as United Acts of Kindness Day, signed by my hand this 5th day of February 2025. Awesome. First United Bank, thanks for doing this. I'm going to turn it over to John, who, as the big boss, has some words, I'm sure.
Yeah, so this is a story from First United Bank. We started this 5 years ago, and we're a bank that likes to make an impact within our communities, and our CEO, Greg Massey, challenged us to find a creative way to do something very deliberately with our community partners, and this came out, the United Acts of Kindness. So this is our 5th year. Last year we did over 700,000 acts of kindness throughout our footprint of Texas and Oklahoma. So we're challenged to do 1 million this year, which by the amount that we have pledged by people, we're probably going to hit 1.2, 1.3 million acts of kindness. And the acts of kindness can range simply just a smile to a stranger as you're walking, helping an elderly person with their groceries to their car, taking their shopping cart. It could be as big as you want as far as delivering things to the grammar school here, to the teachers to help them with their everyday activities they do with their students. So, I mean, it's whatever's in your heart, whatever you feel you can do on that day. I know it's Valentine's Day, so don't forget your significant others. I already failed there, so but I got to make up for that. But it's really something to where it makes you, for us doing it for our 5th year, it really makes us feel good about ourselves and our communities. And to see someone that you don't know smile and really appreciate the gesture you're making, whatever it is, it's just two people standing together. We just changed our community that amount. And if we do it as a collective group, we'll move the needle for here in the city of Garden Ridge. So I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
So are we 6 people into our million acts of kindness goal here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
Actually, with First United Bank, we have over 2,000 employees. So each one of us are committed to make as many as we can and get other partners in to do it with us as well.
Okay, I think I can do some pilot math, and that'll get us to around 50,000. So we got, everybody out there needs to keep moving with that. But, oh yeah, no, I'll round up. So we're at 500,000 right now, so we're almost there. Do you guys want to say anything else, or pass out your acts of kindness?
Well, my funders, y'all are actually good, but on behalf of First United Bank, we really thank y'all for letting us come and for the proclamation. And it means a lot that the city gets involved and partners with us as well. And we're going to pass out a few little gifts to everybody they have here on the panel. But we also have flyers that we're going to leave out in the lobby that if you want to grab one and you want to log your acts of kindness, you can grab one. It's our link that you can go to, sign in, and then log your acts of kindness. Anything from opening the door with somebody to paying it forward to just telling somebody have a great day. Just simple, nothing that costs you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, we need pictures. And John, you said that you'd already goofed up Valentine's Day, but the pilot math that I'm doing says it's still a week and a couple days away. Have I goofed something up that I don't know about? Oh, okay. Well, you need to be in this.
Appreciate it, Rob.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure we're going in the front or behind.
Oh, stand in front of
Oh,
me?
yeah, you're right. There's a random act of kindness.
Yeah, I'm going to go here.
Okay. Okay, best part of my job is not over yet, because we need, should we do everybody, both boys together? Both young men together, sorry.
They've been friends since they started the
All
whole
right.
Indian Cub Scouts
Todd, as a council member and dad and scout
and former Scouts.
troop leader, come on up. And we need Wraith and Marcus front and center, and Denise and Virginia front and center, please. We have Eagle Scouts to recognize. And Todd is going to do the honors here.
Oh, I am?
Yep.
Okay.
So, but before Todd goes, everybody knows Todd. This is Marcus Arvidsson. Can you tell that he plays football? Defensive lineman for the season for the region for Davenport High School. And his mom, Virginia, right there. So a round of applause, please. We'll talk more about Marcus here in a little bit. And we have Wraith Fox, who is a percussionist with the Davenport Band. And what place did we take this year in state? Third. And what were we last year? And we just keep moving on up, right? So that's fantastic. And Denise, right? Welcome. It's good to see you. Good to see you all. I first met Wraith and Denise when they volunteered to come help out with Families of Garden Ridge Adopt a Highway program and pick up trash along 2252. That was a couple, 2-3 years ago, right? Right after you guys got here, wasn't it? I think. So, and I've known I've known the Arvidsson family since Tiny was just
Barely on council.
barely on council, right? So without further ado, I will turn it over to the former scout leader.
So now I get to do this. Okay, well, who'd you put on top? All right, we'll get right down to brass tacks. You get to do all the bragging about them, okay? I can't brag on my own kids. Certificate of recognition, the certificate is presented to Marcus Arvidsson. On behalf of the Garden Ridge community, we are pleased to congratulate and recognize you for your attainment of the rank of Eagle Scout. So now you remember how to do this with shaking with the wrong hand?
I do, yes. Take with the right hand, shake with the left.
Hang on. You feel awkward, Bob?
I never really feel awkward. It's all good.
It's all good.
Get out of the way.
Fantastic. Eagle Scout.
Eagle Scout. And then to Wraith. This certificate is presented to Wraith Fox. On behalf of the Garden Ridge community, we are pleased to congratulate and recognize you for your attainment of the rank of Eagle Scout. Signed by the mayor. You look this way to take a picture. Now, I will say I wanted to do the two of these guys together because they started out in Cub Scouts together. Many, first grade, kindergarten, somewhere in that range, and they've been doing it together ever since. So I wanted to kind of cap it off with them as soon to be graduating high school seniors. Kind of their last scouting event is to come in to do this. So that's what I wanted to do. Thanks, guys.
Okay.
Mayor, you're up.
Todd, you left some of the best parts to me. Thank you. So let's brag on these guys here for a second, okay? The rank of Eagle Scouts, the top. Any Eagle Scouts out there in the audience? That's how rare it is. I wish I could raise my hand to say I'm an Eagle Scout, but no, that didn't work out for me growing up in Salt Lake City, Utah, literally a million years ago. So Todd was an Eagle Scout, yes? No, even the Scout Master
Was not an Eagle
was
Scout.
not an Eagle Scout. So it's the pinnacle of scouting, and it takes an entire childhood and adolescent lifetime in order to achieve that goal. And if you Google, hey, who's an Eagle Scout that's famous, you're going to have a lot of great people out there that, wow, they were Eagle Scouts. So it's a huge accomplishment. And their pinnacle, their project, they have to do a service to the community. And they got to figure that out. They got to plan it. They got to fund it. They got to work it and come up with a team and a project schedule and get it approved by guys like this. And through the city, if they do it with the city, and then complete that on time. So for Wraith, you put together, come here and tell us what you did. You put together something for the band, right?
So at Davenport High School, I had to refurbish and paint a logo on 350 chairs and stands for the Davenport band. This was something because they kept losing equipment or getting equipment placed at competitions, and so this was necessary to happen, and I just thought I could help out, so I volunteered to do it.
So what he did was huge, because think of the time that he saved the band parents. Nobody works harder as a parent in high school than a band parent. Denise, am I speaking the truth? Okay. And nobody practices more, and Marcus, you can tell me that this is true, than the band. They're out there before you're out there on the field in the morning. They're out there after you're almost home from practice in the evening. Right, Wraith? So think of that schedule and think of that commitment that he made for his team. It's just huge. So great job. Marcus, come tell us about what you did.
I built a fire pit at the Bracken Bat Cave. For those of you who don't know where that is, that's right down 3009. It's on the left-hand side, right before Natural Bridge Caverns. And I basically just replaced the old one that was there because it was just a ring of large rocks. So I just put down a pad of crushed road base, so sparks and stuff don't set the countryside on fire. And then I built up a limestone, like brick fire pit around a metal ring, and it looks pretty nice. So that is my project.
Okay, a couple of seniors, we're going to brag on, we bragged on you a little bit with football. We're going to brag on Wraith. Todd, as the scout leader, former scout leader, retired. Emeritus, scout leader emeritus, said, hey, by the way, we are almost 3 years running with the #1 academic graduate from Davenport High School, Eagle Scouts. So we had Noah Bliss in 2023, we had Charlie Hogue in 2024, and we are counting on you, Wraith, to be #1 out of Davenport High School, class of 2025. So keep studying, okay? And what do you want to do post-high school? I want to get into law. Law. Okay, outstanding. You want to run for council sometime? What's the age limit these days? Don't do it. Where do you want to go to school initially?
Initially, anywhere.
Texas A&M? That's a great choice, man. That's fantastic.
That is probably one of my top two. It's between A&M and UT Austin.
Congrats on A&M, man. That's fantastic. Gig 'em. Did you guys hear that? That's awesome.
Figure out where he went to school?
Yeah. That's where all my money goes, to school. So congrats. No, that's great. Good luck with that. And Marcus, where do you think you might want to go to school?
Well, I'm planning on going to the Coast Guard Academy.
So Marcus, no kidding, is being, can I say this?
Yeah, you can say it.
Being recruited by the Coast Guard Academy to play football and be a Coast Guardsman at the end of it. So congratulations. Yeah. So you've got a bunch of military members out here that would gladly write letters of recommendation for you and all that kind of stuff. So love to watch you play. Hopefully you keep your number, right? 46? Giddy up. Okay, let's get group photos. In front of the dais. Yeah, open those up. Good. You don't need to stand. Get boots off. All right, another round of applause.
Good job, guys. Thanks for coming.
Congrats. Okay, that was fun. Thank you. Up next is item number 4, citizen comment period. You have 3 minutes. We can't talk to you while you're up here, but we're taking notes. And we thank you for being here. So first up, Ken Kniper. Ken, always a pleasure to see you, sir, and the floor is yours.
Ken Kniper, 8891 Chaintal Road. You can spend $20,000, $40,000, $50,000 on a consultant, but what can this consultant really do for you in the city? I don't think a whole lot. That quarry has been there since 1940s. They've been here longer than we have. They are expanding. We knew that from the day I moved in here. I heard it. In 2003, they're going to be moving, and they are going to move all the way from this side of the city all the way to Chaintal North. They own the land. It's like telling me I can't do something on my own land. Yes, I got to follow and within the city limits. You can't tell them unless you got pockets deeper than the quarry. You'll never tell them what they're going to do. So why waste my tax dollars to do that? Now I'd like to switch to acts of kindness. Anybody who will go to Davenport High School on a football, or not even a football night, let's do basketball or volleyball night, which is Tuesdays and Fridays. You come on campus at 4:30 or 4:45, you'll always see students walking in and out. Walking by a student, you can say, "Hi, how was your day?" Or if it's on a Friday, you can say, "Have a good weekend." You don't know how many times I've heard, "Thank you, sir, and you have a good weekend too." 2 years ago, I helped a young athletic trainer during Raising Cane tournament carry a got water cooler, who she was struggling to carry by herself, all the way from the concession stand all the way to the third base dugout. Well, I walked over and I told her to set it down, and I helped her carry it as far as the bleachers got too tall. And there's another younger man who saw me, and he saw I was struggling, and he helped her. After that game, as we were leaving, she walked up to me and thanked me for helping her, gave me a nice granddaughterly hug, and whenever she saw me on campus at any event, I got a handshake or a hug if it was possible. Her parents knew who I was because their mom made sure I got a picture with her on homecoming night. I saw Mom this year, and her daughter's in college, and she took a picture of me and sent it to her daughter. So yes, you can make a difference in anybody's life just by saying hi or doing something nice for them and helping them. Do it, and especially these young kids. Some of them don't have grandparents around here. Some may not have grandparents that attend anything, but these kids are wanting a little attention. And if you give them kindness, it goes a long way. Thank you.
Thank you, Ken. Next up, Jeanette Baldwin. Welcome, it's good to see you. The floor is
Good.
yours.
It's wonderful to see you as well. Good evening, council members. My name is Jeanette Baldwin, and I reside at 20408 Wall Lane in Trophy Oaks. I stand before you today to ask you to approve the contract for the quarry consultant that is under consideration. Over the past year, the quarry has been operating much closer to our property line in Trophy Oaks. Instead of an occasional strong nuisance blast every few months, we are now subjected on average to 3 major blasts per week. This has dramatically and negatively affected the enjoyment of our property. The blasts are like mini earthquakes that roll through the house, not once, but twice from the aftershock, shaking the foundation, the walls, and the windows. As a result, we are now experiencing separation of drywall seams in the ceiling for old as well as newly renovated rooms in our home. The most recent blast was so strong, it startled our pets and caused them to run into hiding. With these blasts, there is also large amounts of white dust that falls on every surface of our home. We are constantly breathing the contamination of the air after every single event. As local residents, we have been meeting with and attempting to work with quarry management and their third-party monitor, Vibertech, to reduce the impact of their operations on our properties, but these efforts have not resulted in any reduction in the quarry's impact. If nothing else, it has become exponentially worse. In fact, Vibertech's representative stated that we should only have to put up with this for another year or so. 3 major blasts a week for 52 weeks is 156 more major blasts, major shocks to our home, and frankly, this is unacceptable. While my husband was on active duty, the mayor may remember that one of his responsibilities was to engage and work with multiple local governments, private homeowners, and property developers to mitigate residential development around Randolph Air Force Base in order to protect long-term flying operations there. During this assignment, we learned that the only way to accomplish the Air Force goals and to reach agreement with these entities, each with legitimate rights and concerns, was to find a way to cooperate and to reach mutually agreeable solutions that could be adopted voluntarily in order to achieve everyone's objectives while respecting each entity's property rights. With that said, we now know that we will not shut down the quarry, so no short of major litigation or unlikely change in legislation. So hiring a professional who intimately understands quarry operations, but that is working on behalf of us, the city, can hopefully find a mutual agreeable path forward through voluntary actions seems like a best way forward at this juncture. Please approve this contract and give this new approach a chance. Please allow us to continue loving Garden Ridge as we do. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jeanette. Next up, Sharon Stripling.
Hello, all. My name is Sharon Stripling. I live at 21729 Forest Waters Circle. And I first of all want to thank y'all for being on the city council and for the city employees for what y'all do for the city and us citizens, because I'm sure y'all get earfuls like the mayor knows. I stopped him in Walmart the other day. So I came this evening not to talk about the quarries, but to talk about something that came up right before Christmas with the enforcement of ordinance number 107 with the trees, the height of the trees. The city put out plenty of notice. It started, I went back and researched it. They started posting it on Facebook in September, October, November. So we all had plenty of notice, except for those that aren't on Facebook. I went back and looked at the grapevines. I found it only in one grapevine, which was October. And I personally think there should have been a letter sent out to all the residents of what the program was going to be. I'm not going to complain, but I did have one tree over the street, and I trimmed it back in September or October, had city employees check it, and they told me I was good, and I still got a notice. Being in Forest Waters, I don't know if we were the last neighborhood. We received notices the week before Christmas. And we have 15 days to take care of it. My act of kindness was my neighbor was out of town. I had to take care of trimming his tree because he was out of town for 2 weeks. I don't think any of us mind doing that, but we need to time it a little differently. I know we can only trim from July 1st up to February 1st, maybe move up the next time we take this on. The other thing is I feel it's getting well known around Garden Ridge now, or at least in my neighborhood, that the police department are the water police or the tree police. And I think that's unfair to them. I wish we would get back to where we had a code compliance person in the city of Garden Ridge the way it used to be, because I think it's unfairly put on them. And I think it would be handled maybe a little bit, I don't know, that's just my opinion, and maybe things would be handled a little bit differently. And I'm not blaming them, because I don't want them getting the bad rap, because now everybody's going, oh, the police did that, the police did that. And in the letter, it specifically states, has received a complaint concerning the property. And I'm the head of our neighborhood association in Forest Waters. I got at least 3 calls saying, why did you turn me in? And I wasn't the one that turned them in. So I said it was the city. So anyways, thank you very much.
Thank you, Sharon. Mike Tillema. Welcome, sir.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, council people. I don't have a speech written, but for the last 2 or 3 months, I've been working on behalf of our neighbors in the front row there at the Wall Lane and Trophy Oaks. And it regards the change of pace and the change of force when the quarry moved operations to right beside the Baldwin's backyard. And I mean right beside it, because I was crossing the bridge yesterday at 3009 and saw the blast at 2 o'clock. And the smoke and all the dust and all the other garbage comes over, you can see it just drifts right over to our neighborhood and at the end of Trophy Oaks. So there's studies out now. My wife just sent me one, carcinogens in the air with this stuff, with the Vulcan Quarry. It's the same thing here. I've met with the senior leaders of Heidelberg. Thank you, Mayor, for that contact. They're great listeners, but they're zero actioners, zero people who take action. And what scares me to death is now every day we get a notice 2 o'clock, and I'd like a fireman to come over, or a police officer, you know, a fireman would probably be great, just to see what happens to our homes in that area. It's not a, you know, I've lived here 8 years. The first 7 years, yeah, we heard it, we felt a teeny bit, we got it. But because they moved to the Worley Pit Quarry, that last part of their multi-billion-dollar worldwide organization, they're not budging, by the way. They've been kind. They were at my house again Monday, and it's extremely frustrating, very scary. Our pool is full of sand and dust now. We're breathing that crap in. I've never had any allergies in my life except for the last 12 or 13 months. Every day I got stuff in my chest. And lastly, there are multiple veterans, combat veterans, and some have PTSD. And if you hear what we hear, my friend over here in the corner, Daryl, spent a year plus, retired Army colonel in Iraq. He's seen and heard these things. And I told LB, the southern, you know, whole part of the United States owner and manager of Heidelberg, that this is going on, and they're wonderfully kind people, the manager of all the local quarries, this is going on. But PTSD is for real, and when you hear this stuff, it triggers. I've had 4 deployments myself at a year remote, but they're not listening, and we need help, and it's the time is now. Hiring a person is great, committees are great, but committees don't get anything done. We need action now, please.
Thanks, Mike. Okay, that concludes citizens' comments. On to item number 5, consent agenda. These items may be acted upon in a single motion. No separate discussion or action on these items will be held unless requested by a council member. Public comment on these items may be heard during citizens' participation. However, that does not mean the item will be considered outside the consent agenda. Council, does anybody have anything they want to pull from this month's consent agenda? Okay, if there's nothing to pull, can I get a motion to approve?
Motion to approve the consent agenda as written.
We have a motion to approve the consent agenda. Can I get a second?
Second.
Motion to approve and a second. Any further discussion? Call it to a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Awesome. The consent agenda passes. Before we proceed on to item number 6, tonight is fiscal year 2024 audit report. And so what I'd like to do is bring forward on the agenda item number 9 so that we can hear the report, so that Debbie and company do not have to sit through the entire council meeting before they go. So Debbie, or whoever's briefing tonight, if you want to come forward. He's got it. There he is. Council, Nancy and I had the executive outbrief a couple of weeks ago, and I think what you'll find is we get an even better report year after year. So as you've heard me say, Lisa, this is the 4th year in a row, I think, it's a very lean but fiscally responsible budget in the city of Garden Ridge. I don't have anything to do with that. I won't take any credit. The credit goes to our leadership with Nancy, as well as who we've had at the helm for finance. And Karen took us a very long way, and we're very fortunate to have Robin with us now, who continues that tradition of sound bookkeeping, which is what it's all about. So the fighter pilot in me wants to have an outstanding grade. We're going to hear that, hey, the best we can get is, hey, that's pretty good. So, but I'm here to tell you that Robin and Nancy and our team have done an outstanding job once again. So, over to you guys.
Okay. So, Mayor, Council, good evening. My name is Carl Gehring. I'm with Armstrong Vaughn and Associate. We performed the fiscal year 2024 audit. This is our outbrief, and I'll see if I can work the remote. No? have to. Mm-mm. Do you want to just like click next? I mean, that's probably fine, right? I just look over and we'll go next. Okay. Okay, first slide. So this is what's inside of the annual financial report, which y'all received this evening. We're not going to go through every single page, obviously, but I built a nice outbrief for y'all. And we'll go over the financial highlights. Within the financial report is the management discussion and analysis, which you see as a bullet point there. Essentially gives you the highlights of the audit. That's kind of be primarily the focus of the outbrief tonight. The city has two types of financial statements, and they're shown there, the government-wide financial statements and the fund financial statements. These are both required statements. There is a main difference between the two. The government-wide financials are you could call them long-term statements. It's where all the city's assets, long-term assets and liabilities, debt go. The short-term statements are the fund statements. This is how you guys are used to seeing the financial statements as presented, by Robin and the city. They're a short-term, one-year focus. Those will, again, be primarily the focus of tonight's outbrief, as that's more conducive to what you guys are seeing and care about. Let's see if I got it right. Okay. So the independent auditor's report, it's page 1 of the financial statements. This is generally the most important section of the audit, or so they tell me. The audit standards that we follow are generally accepted auditing standards and government auditing standards. And the purpose of the whole audit is to form an audit opinion. The audit opinion that we gave is unmodified. This is the best opinion that we can give on an audit. It means that there's no modifying statements or that the financial statements were presented fairly in all material respects. Within the management discussion analysis, again, it talks about financial highlights. This would be page 4 to 10 on the report. In addition to budgetary highlights, it also gives economic factors, which are given to me by Robin as well. And it kind of gives a history of what's going on in the city at the current time. But let's go ahead and look into some of these financial highlights. Starting with the government-wide financial statements, I have just a couple bullet points here because, again, the fund financials are more what you guys are used to seeing. But as far as the government-wide statements go, the assets exceeded the liabilities of the city by $10.7 million at September 30th, 2024. Net position, you can kind of think of that as your equity or your residual. It increased by $1.1 million. The increase was primarily attributed to grant contributions. The city had a combined $809,000 in operating and capital grants. I looked into it a little bit. $538,000 actually pertained to the American Rescue Plan Act, or ARPA. You received that funding in a prior year, but we recognized some of it this year as the expenditures happened. For your business type activities, that's your water fund, assets exceeded liabilities by $9.7 million. And your unrestricted net position, again, you can think of that, your equity, increased by $690,000. I did note that even though you had a positive, essentially, net income for the year, water sales did decline by about $361,000 compared to fiscal year 2023. I did have another note here, but going back to the net position of the government-wide activities, in addition to the ARPA funding that was recognized, there was about $219,000 in an asset forfeiture that was received this year from, I think, 2014. And we'll go over that in another slide as well. Here I took a snippet from the financial statements themselves. This shows the net position, and it breaks it down by the governmental activities and the business type activities, and it shows the restricted aspects of the net position. And then you can see that in the governmental activities, even though you had 10.6 million in total net position, your unrestricted is only 5.2. And the same with the water fund or business type. You had 9.6, but your unrestricted is 1 point, let's round it to 5. Okay, moving on to the fund financial statements. And again, this is where you wouldn't see long-term debt, fixed assets. It's all 1 year, current year focus, which is how your budget is run. The general funds fund balance at the end of 2024 was 5.7 million, and the combined fund balance of all funds was 6.1 million. Unassigned fund balance in the general fund was 5.5, which equates to about 21 months of operating expenditures. Fund balance for the general fund did increase by about 692,000. I did note that you guys were talking about strong budgeting. Total revenues were 206,000 over budgeted figures, which is not a bad thing. It just means more revenue came than originally anticipated. But expenditures, which is what really matters, were under budget in every category. The combined fund balance increased by 937,000. And this is where I snuck in the asset forfeiture line. Because of a seizure dated back in 2014 finally came in, and it was worth 196,000. So I found that fairly interesting. This next slide shows the fund balances and how they've been broken down by fund, as well as all the restrictions or any assignments for capital projects, and then finally your unassigned fund balance. This is a little different this year. I didn't show this slide last year, but I thought it would be good if I showed the general fund revenues and did a comparison between 2024 and 2023. There is a statement within your financial statements in the back that shows this comparison, but I thought I would put it in the presentation. I just wanted to kind of quickly go through the lines to kind of say the increases or decreases. Taxes increased by 123,000. Which is impressive. The valuation obviously increased, the rate decreased, but it still increased 123,000 from last year. Total franchise fees, marginal decrease, $3,000. License and permits, there was only about 6 new home permits, but you still had a marginal increase of about 3,500 from 2023. Charges for services, we saw a $28,000 increase, and that's largely to do with the increase in garbage rates. Total fines and forfeitures had a $69,000 increase. And then total other sources, miscellaneous income, but the main driver here is still interest income, surprisingly. The rates were still very high during this fiscal period. The other sources increased about 67,000 as well. So overall, total revenues increased by about $288,000 from the prior year. When we look at expenditures, the general administration decreased by about 93,000, and that's mainly repairs related. Municipal court increased fairly marginally by about, let's call it 7,900. Police protection increased by 104,000. Public facilities increased by 86,000, and that was due mainly to repairs that happened. And then your capital outlay, which is where we put expenses that are going to be capitalized, increased by 96,000 over the prior year. In total, expenditures increased compared to 2023 by 196,000. So revenues increased, expenditures increased, but overall your revenues less your expenditures, you still net 651,000. But it's nice to see that your revenues have kept up with the rising cost of expenditures. I also put in a note here or a slide here on y'all's debt. The top section is showing your governmental activities, the bonds and notes outstanding, and then below that are the business type activities. I do note that in combination you have about 9.2 million in outstanding principal, and principal and interest you have about 10.8 million outstanding. This slide shows TMRS, y'all's retirement system. I just really kind of wanted to point out one line before I go to the next slide, which shows a year's comparison. The net investment income, which is towards the bottom, 1, 2, 3, like the sixth line from the bottom, net investment income, this is essentially the unrealized gains and losses on the investments themselves. You guys have made $442,000 this year in that investment income, and the total liability for retirement is $518,000. But over the years, you can see, and now it's kind of moved, the net investment income now is about the third line from the top. You can see over the years that you've had swings in investment income and losses. Last year was actually a loss of about $300,000. This year, a gain of $442,000. Probably next year's maybe a loss. We'll see. But overall, there's another line that actually kind of stands out. I'd say like maybe the third line from the bottom, the planned fiduciary net position as a percentage of the total pension liability. God, that's a long line, right? It's basically saying what percent of our liability are we covered as a city. And over the years, you guys have consistently hung out around, the high 90s, low 90s, high 80s, 89% this year. GFOA, which sets the best practices for cities, says that you guys ought to be around 70%. And so you guys are at 89%. And so you're good on GFOA's books, you're good on our books, and it's a good percentage to be in covering the total liability. And if you have any questions, always feel free to reach out to me. If you guys have any questions tonight, I can field them and answer them. But overall, the health of the city, you guys have a healthy fund balance. The audit was clean. Robin's doing a fantastic job. We've had less journal entries than I think we've ever had, so it's going really well. So, do y'all have any questions?
Thanks, Carl.
Okay.
That was about 60 minutes shorter than the executive version. You sure you're good?
Yes.
Okay.
I had to cut some slides.
Okay, no, that's great. That's great. Council, do you have any questions for Carl? He's done an outstanding job, and Debbie, thanks for bringing him up in the firm the right way, and we're very, very pleased with the services that you guys provided again this year. So, Council, if there's no further questions for Carl, we need to accept our fiscal year 2024 audit report. If there's no discussion, can I get a motion to accept it?
I move to accept the 2024 annual fiscal audit report.
Good job. Second. We have a motion to accept. We have a second. Any further discussion? Call it to a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Thank you so much. Look forward to next year. Robin, simply fantastic job. So you got the whole council up here nodding from the dais going, wow. So amazing job. And Nancy, once again, thank you for your leadership. So outstanding. Okay, we'll get back to item number 6, staff reports. And speaking of Nancy, 6A, city manager monthly activity report. Ma'am, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. I have one appreciation and thanks from a resident, Bob Ashley. He called me to express his appreciation and thanks to Garden Ridge Police Sergeant McKenzie for his response and assistance to an alarm call that he had at his residence. He had an alarm. His alarm was malfunctioning and it set off a medical alert, and he was not aware of it until Officer McKenzie and Bracken Volunteer Fire Department showed up. He said Officer McKenzie was nice and he was pleased with the quick, responsive service. He also passed on that he utilizes the out-of-town checks and is very pleased with that service. Okay, we have one employee to recognize their anniversary with the city. Officer Wayne, 3 years. Thank you, officer. We tried to get a picture of him with his pillow, but we couldn't get it.
The whole senior class of Davenport High School was like, man, that's been 3 years already. I got wanged.
I think he's pulled over the entire senior class.
He has, yeah, that's what I'm saying. The junior class is like, who's Officer Wang? Hang on. I'm sorry, Nancy, you keep going. It was too good.
No worries.
It was totally set up.
We had 140 volunteer hours during the month of January. 7.5 from the ladies who come and help stuff water bills. The library had 92.5, and the Citizens Police Academy Alumni Association had 40 hours. Also in your packet, you will see the results for the Comella Appraisal District Board of Directors election that we cast the city's allotted votes in. The other things that I wanted to state is that there is no First Friday this Friday. But we will be back at it in March. And Cindy is preparing a fun-filled First Friday event for March. And I wanted to say thank you to all the staff that worked hard and preparing the city for the potential winter storm that was expected. We thought it might be worse than what we received, and thank goodness it was not. But they worked hard, they were ready, and we had no incidents to report. And that's all I have, Mayor.
Thanks, Nancy. Council, anything for Nancy Kane, our city manager? First Friday, we apologize for having to not have that this coming Friday. We, as council and city staff, are going to be busy the entire day with the final round of choosing a new city manager with the finalists here, and literally it'll be an all-day event for council. And chances are there's a possibility we wouldn't even be able to get to First Friday, which is too bad because I was really looking forward to the chili cook-off and raising the first place spoon. I look at Lisa because she and I are the only ones that signed up for the chili cook-off. So, but we are going to do it, Cindy, we're going to do it in March, is that right? Okay, so Lisa and I are happy to compete. And, you know, we're going to, I'm sure you make great chili, right? Yeah. Yes. Okay, so, but council, come on, step up to the plate. Todd, I know you guys make good chili.
Y'all don't stand a snowball's chance in the microwave.
Bring it. Bring it. Jesse, I'm sure you guys make good chili.
Well, she does, but it's Lent, so we don't eat meat on Friday.
Oh. Okay, okay. Just, yeah, don't do fish chili. Kelly, come on, man.
I'll get with Kira on that one.
Oh. I don't know. No, Lisa and we'll just take it.
I'll talk
That's
to Linda
fine.
anyway.
You guys, okay, have at it. And we encourage the Baldwins, I'm sure you guys make good chili. Come on out First Friday for March. St. Patrick's theme, right, Cindy? Great. And a special thanks to Cindy for all her great work on what she's doing with First Fridays. It's amazing. So, sorry, I'm taking some time here. We'll keep moving on to B, Robin, Finance and HR Monthly Activity Report. You doing all right?
Doing good. That's gotten, yes, hey. Thank you, Mayor and Council. We have one utility operator position is still vacant, and we have one police officer position that is vacant. We have recently hired a police cadet for the police academy, and I think Chief's going to be expanding on that a little bit more. And we just had our audit presentation. So audit's over. Now I'm going to be working on our budget amendment. So that's the next one. So we are going to get rolling on that budget amendment coming up. And that's all I have.
Can you take at least a couple days to kind of chill out at the office, or you get right into that?
Plugging in numbers.
Thanks again for everything that you do for us. So, council, anything for Robin with HR or Finance? Moving on. Marissa, City Secretary, Monthly Activity Report. Floor is yours, ma'am.
Thank you. So just a couple of things to highlight on my report. We have an upcoming holiday where city offices will be closed on Monday, February 17th. And then the City of Garden Ridge general election is coming up. It's the first Saturday of May. And the last day to file an application for a place on the ballot is Friday, February 14th. Candidate packets are available on the city's website or at City Hall. And then candidates will receive an email about the drawing for place on ballot once the filing period closes. Our Assistant City Secretary, Cindy Simmons, was actually awarded a seminar scholarship of $500 and completed a 12-hour election law seminar. That's what the scholarship was for. So congratulations to Cindy. They don't give those out very easily, so they must have been very impressed by her application. And then the only other thing I wanted to update about is the microphone system. We heard that the equipment has arrived at their testing and commissioning facility. And once they're done testing, everything will be shipped to their local warehouse, which should be anywhere from mid to late this month. So we've scheduled them to come out and replace the microphones beginning Thursday, March 6th. Sorry, couldn't get it in before the next council meeting. So it's right after the next council meeting because they need like 3 to 5 days in order to replace everything. So hopefully by council's April meeting, we'll all have working microphones and not have to pass them around the room. That's all I have.
Thanks, Marissa. Council, anything for Marissa? Outstanding. Moving on to the chief, police department. Floor is yours, sir.
Thank you, sir. Everything is pretty much there. I did want to emphasize what Robin was talking about earlier. We did bring on a cadet. If you remember, we started that program about 6 months ago, got approval to do a cadet program. So we do have a young man, well, he's 45, so he's going through the academy. He's been a former police officer. He was out for about 11 years. So instead of him trying to reactivate a license by taking a lot of small classes over the next year, we felt it would better suit everybody, us and him, to just go ahead and send him through the academy as a cadet, put him in there, let him get all the legislative updates, procedural updates, all that, and come out a lot farther ahead than anybody else. So we anticipate he started on the 3rd. He started this week. So he should be due the first week of August, should be done and graduating, and will be starting FTO first part of August. So we do have that filled, and it did work. We're still looking, we have one more position. Doesn't matter whether it's cadet or lateral transfer, we're still taking applications. We're getting people inquiring, so we still do have interest on that. Hopefully we can get another officer on board here really quick. And other than that, I don't really have anything.
Thanks so much, Chief. Council, anything for our chief of police? With Wang being here 3 years, did he finally get the night off? Is that?
It's his regular day off. We're not going to give him any special treatment. But Wayne does a fine job out there.
He does. Outstanding. All right. Thanks, Chief. On to E, Public Works, and Stephen. Floor is yours, sir, for Public Works.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. For January, Public Works completed 370 tasks, picked up 450 pounds of trash on the right-of-ways, recorded 0.97 inches of rain at our Public Works yard, filled potholes on Schoenthal, Benzal, and Bat Cave, did hot water pressure washing on Waterwood to remove the old red paint so we can get ready to put new striping down on the correct areas of the curb. Prepared and got everything ready for the winter storm. Wrapped pipes, got the sander ready for any streets that needed to be sanded. We did do some pre-sanding just in case. Did various repairs on equipment and vehicles. For education, Ryan Ferguson took a basic water test. He's scheduled to take the D test. Next week, we're sending Andrew and Ruben to College Station to compete in a equipment rodeo held on by the Texas Public Water Association. Wins maybe come back with a pretty good belt buckle and award to show off to other cities. Dumpsters are back in February. We currently have 2 dogs in our kennels. One's ready for adoption, and we have 2 cats. So I really have for Public Works portion of the report.
Thank you, Stephen. We were just commenting on the dogs and trying to talk Lisa into adopting that one. Council, anything for Stephen regarding Public Works? Okay, continuing on with water and utilities.
For the month of January, we pumped 9.82 acre feet out of the Edwards with a year-to-date total of 9.82. Available is 621.27. Edwards is still in stage 4. We are in stage 2 due to our other sources of water. All bacterial and distribution samples passed for the month. Our water loss was 1.2%. Work orders were completed were 280. AMI information, total portal customers is 878, up 2 from December. Meter daily readability is 99.72% for 1,641 assigned meters. No main breaks or service line reports breaks. One new leak adjustment request, one approved. Total amount $103.91. Ruben Macias went to wastewater laboratory, so he's going for his collection 2 license. That's all I have for water utilities.
Thank you, Steve. And Jesse, I know you have comments. No? Council, anything else before I throw a little praise towards Public Works and Utilities? And a praise to the whole city. The first thing I want to cover is when one of the cool things about the Northeast Partnership and getting to interact with our other 12 cities around that we're members with is talking about experiences and problems they have within their cities and what we can do collectively to offer, advice or just to talk things out. And a lot of cities have some significant public works and some water issues. And I'm amazed at just how, and some tremendous financial issues, but we don't have those problems in the city of Garden Ridge. We have things that we have to work through, but it's because of our residents and our city employees and how hard they work on a daily basis to make sure that our no-fail operation of water supply, safe and healthy water supply, is uninterrupted. And we fill potholes. Our no-fail operation of public safety with the police department and everything that goes on with our admin department to make sure that things happen seamlessly. Are there hiccups here and there? Absolutely. But are they minimal? Yeah, they are, especially compared to surrounding communities. So I just want to make sure that you guys know, and council, please allow me to speak on your behalf, how much we appreciate everything that you guys do for us as employees of the city of Garden Ridge. And it's truly amazing because it doesn't happen at every city out there. One more bragging part. When we get ready for cold weather operations, council, you guys have seen a lot of this, and Todd, you've seen it recently with Tex as the pro tem, and Lisa, you remember as the pro tem. 2 weeks out, when either Nancy or I look at the weather forecast, and usually it was Rob looking at Chris Suchan's weather forecast, and I'll take a selfie of it or a picture of it and send it out to the department heads, Nancy and the mayor pro tem, and go, hey, cold weather's on the way, maybe. And the response is very polite, but it's almost a duh, Rob. Yeah, we've got this. This is not our first rodeo, so to speak, even though for Andrew and Ruben, it'll be their first public works rodeo, right? Actually, that's a first rodeo. So, but it's not their first rodeo, and they're so adept at making sure that we are good to go as a city when and if we get cold weather and freezing precipitation, that it works perfectly. I mean, and it's great. And that morning, that whole night, Stephen and his crew are out sanding the roads that, Municipal Parkway and sanding roads that could be an issue. And then the first thing in the morning that we get from the chief is, hey, the roads are a little slick, but they should be okay, or hey, the roads are all right. And and Nancy's at that helm for everybody. So I just want to say publicly that you guys do great work, and thanks for what you do on behalf of the council and just as a resident, thanks. Because I have no questions about everything being completely uninterrupted. So that's great work. All right. And that will be their first Public Works rodeo. But I expect belt buckles and pictures and stuff like that. Okay. Linda, on to you for item F.
Thank you. Good
ma'am.
evening. Before I start my report, I'd like to say that Denise Fox and her two children, Wraith, what's his older sister's name? Aurora. Thank you. They used to volunteer at the library once a month for about 2 hours on a Thursday evening. It could have been Aurora, but I thought it was Wraith who insisted that they volunteer because one of his friend's parents did as well. So should he become the valedictorian, I'm sure it's because of all that time he spent in the ambience, with no doubt. That's true. Well, we got back to our after-school programming about the middle of January. We're encouraged by the attendance. Last year, we started doing homeschooled Lego robotics on Wednesday mornings, and since I teach Mad About Science on Thursday afternoons, I thought we can do that for the homeschoolers on Thursday mornings. So my Thursdays are kind of full. Anyway, we're enthusiastic about that. On February 19th, our Lunch and Learn is called Texas Native Plants. I think I have a picture of that. The Native Plant Society highly encourages using native plants because they work better here. They are hardy and drought resistant, and they're great pollinators. With all the talk of water shortages and stage 4 and 5 watering, this is really a very practical thing for people to do. Which brings us to our next project. Here is an old picture, a picture of our old card catalog. It's been there for forever. I like that piece of furniture. I just think it's interesting, but it also reminds me of how far we've come. Remember going through all those thousands of little cards, author, title, subject. So it's nice to know we can do digitally the things we used to. Which brings us to our new concept, and this is how that now looks. We've draped it with this garden theme. Because it's kind of what's behind door number 1. This one man came and from the Native Plant Society and talked to me, and if we can look closer at the sign on top, it's that next one down. Right, Seed Library coming soon. The Seed Library launches Saturday, February 22nd from 10 to 12. We're going to learn more about it. Through the years, people have wanted to buy that card catalog, and they want to put screws or nails or craft items in it. One person wanted to put their wine in it, and I just couldn't part with it because, number one, former Mayor Jay Fabelman would haunt me for the rest of my days if he did. So now we have found the perfect use for this card catalog. Craig Bruska from the Native Plant Society came. He said, "Do you want to start a seed library?" And I went, "Oh, sure." What a seed library is, he promised it wouldn't be much work. He said no work, but a little bit. He's going to keep it stocked with the seeds, and people can come in. They can check out 3 to 5 packets of seeds with the agreement that they will go plant them. Once they germinate, they will get some seeds, bring them back to the library, 10% of them at least to the library, so that will repopulate our seed library. So you're all invited to come Saturday, February 22nd. There's going to be some little brunch type refreshments, and just help us launch this unique feature. And bring a friend or 10 friends. So, thank you.
Thank you so much, Linda. What time is that at?
10 o'clock,
10 o'clock.
February 22nd.
Thank you so much. Council, anything for our wonderful librarian? Awesome. Thank you, Linda. On to item number 7. Hank, you're up. City engineer project status reports. How are you? I didn't get to see you in January, so it's good to see you.
Glad you're doing better.
I'm doing better. Thanks for asking, yeah.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I have a few things to add to the report. FM 2252 project, it is tracking as the report says. We will be counting on Center Point to be out of there on the 21st, so we're pushing for pole bracing to be ready. As soon as I can get a date of the pole bracing bit out there, we'll get a contractor to commit to a date. So I should have a date for you for them to be out there next time. I will be adding another project to this report beginning next month, SAWS Emergency Connection Project. We've began preliminary design on that. I'm working on some modeling and discussions with Mr. Steinmetz, and we'll get hold of SAWS again to kick that off and get the design started with a plan set. So that will be progressing. Moving on to land development, the Revival has not resubmitted their site plan yet, and I have not seen their off-site sewer extension quite yet. But I do know they're working on it, and I expect to see that soon. I also helped with a floodplain development review for CPS Energy. They're kind of doing a, not quite citywide, but they're going through and doing some improvements with transformers, pole boxes. They're pulling new cable through existing conduits, so there may be a little bit of a few boreholes here and there that you might see, but they're looking to improve their system in certain areas in the city. So we did that review. And then yesterday, Councilmember Swinton and I met with AMPO and Schertz, and TxDOT was there, Mr. Will Lockett. We went through a little more input discussion on gathering more information so that AMPO can allocate resources through their consultants for a route study for a more regional, holistic view on how the truck traffic in that area could work. I'll let Councilmember Swint elaborate on it a little later, but AMPO's committed to allocating some funds for that or some effort for that, so that's great. Schertz did reiterate they want to see more information before they would support some sort of truck route going through 3009, and they have a resolution that council submitted. So that's their firm stance on that, and AMPO is providing more information for us. So that's all I have, and happy to answer any questions.
Council, anything for Hank? Great work. Thanks for being so tenacious on 2252.
Of course. Thank you.
Thank you. Good to see you, too. Okay. On to item number 8, City Commission and Committee Reports, Recommendations, Possible Actions. 8A, Planning and Zoning. The commission didn't meet in January, so there's no report at this time. 8B, Water Commission, they did not meet in January with no action items, so nothing to report at this time. So on to item number 9, approvals and authorizations. The following items are for discussion, consideration, and action. We've already completed and approved 9A, the fiscal 2024 audit report. So we'll move on to 9B, ordinance number 88-02-2025, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Garden Ridge, Texas, creating a public funds investment policy for the City of Garden Ridge, establishing policies governing the investment and security of public funds, and complying with the provisions of Chapter 2256, the Public Funds Investment Act, the Act as amended, Texas Government Code. Nancy, I'll turn this over to you.
Thank you. What I've done with the investment policy is basically updated the policy to state that the city manager is acting on behalf of the city, and they are designated as the investment officer of the city and responsible for the investment, management decisions, and activities. As well as the other change was to update in the policy that our depository contracts are for a period of 5 years rather than the prior policy had said 3. This was basically an update to bring titles, the correct titles into place, as well as update that time period for the depositories.
Thank you. Council, any questions regarding this update for Nancy? Okay, if there's no questions or discussion, can I get a motion to approve as written?
I move to approve ordinance number 88-022025 as written.
We have a motion to approve. Can I get a second?
Second.
Motion to approve and a second from Kelly. He beat you on the wire. Good. Todd, you got to speed up. Okay, any further discussion? Call to a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion passes. Thank you, council. 9C, the contractor agreement between the City of Garden Ridge and Jill Shackelford. Nancy, I'll turn it to you, and then Lisa, this is your baby, so we'll give it to you right after that. Nancy, anything to add?
No, this contract was negotiated with Ms. Shackelford. I think it is a pretty concise contract. It has been reviewed by our legal counsel. And I will turn it over to you, Lisa, for any comments.
Lisa, go ahead.
Thank you for working with Jill and legal counsel to get this contract together, and also working on the scope of work with me. So, council, I've been talking about Jill Shackelford for a few months now, and we've got this contract in front of us. I hope you've looked at the contract, had a chance to look at the scope of work, read the emails that you've gotten from supporting organizations, and really listened to the city and our citizens about some positive actions we could take by hiring Jill.
Thanks. Kelly, anything else to add? Any comments?
No, I was waiting to see the condensed scope of work, and we've got it, so that's.
Okay, thanks. Jesse?
With the comments I heard today, what about blasting as far as in the scope of work? I don't see it spelled out. Do we want to?
It's not necessarily spelled out, but the dust is the result of the blasting.
Right.
So, I mean, we could add that in, or, just assume that it is part of.
Well, because they actually spelled more about concerns about the ground shaking, the house moving things, so I was kind of
Right,
wondering maybe.
and right, and they, and the people have read the contract, did ask me about that, and I kind of lumped it in with the
Okay,
dust.
as long as you feel comfortable with that. Okay, because I'm kind of wondering we ought to add it specifically, but I'm okay with it.
I'm open to that, too.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I'm in favor of the advisory council, all the other stuff, so, in hearing the citizens today, I understand about the tax, the taxpayers using that from other people, but I'm willing to give it a try.
Thank you, Jesse. Todd?
Well, I think everybody knows where I stand on this one. I'm going to look out into the audience and the people in YouTube land and everything else and go, we do this, we're going to put together I think the proper term is a committee, correct? An advisory
Council.
committee?
Council.
Or council, okay. Well, what does that consist of? And I know the answer, I'm asking a rhetorical question. That consists of citizens and the quarry working together to come up with solutions to mitigate the impact of the quarry on the citizens of Garden Ridge. Notice I said the word citizen about, 3-4 times now in the last 2 sentences? We're going to need citizen participation in this. And I know people have got a lot of passion about this, so please take some consideration into coming and helping with this. It's a group effort. We're going to need citizens to step up and come give us their opinions to try to think outside the box. There's a lot of legal restrictions on what the city can and can't do on this, but hopefully we can come up with some ways to mitigate or minimize the impact of the quarry.
Thanks, Todd. And I think there are people out in the audience, not just in YouTube land, but sitting here tonight that would be excellent members for communication on an advisory council coming back to us. So communication is critical. And the more avenues that we have to communicate our thoughts as residents and citizens and as a council to other entities and agencies and companies, the better, the more communication we have, the better. It doesn't mean we're always going to agree with each other and have the same opinion, and that's okay. But to not talk to each other, in this case, the city, through an advisory council with Jill Shackelford's help, talking about APO operations and the quarries, we don't get anywhere. So getting everybody together in an open forum and talking about this and expressing our opinions and in agreeing to disagree if we need to, but coming to some sort of something that we can do to mitigate, if we can, the dust. Something that we can do to mitigate how close they're blasting to the Baldwin's home. Communication is the key. If we don't communicate, nothing's going to happen. So we've got some very good legislators that represent us, Senator Campbell and her staff, and Carrie Isaac and her staff, and they support what we're trying to do. And Lisa and I have worked with them for the past couple years and had both of them out to tour everything, and they were kind of taken aback with what's going on right behind Wild Wind. At the time, they weren't blasting so close to Wall Lane, so but trying to get them out here to see a blast and or their staffers would be a good thing, and communicating with that. And Jeanette, I think you'd be great on this future council. The only thing I want to caution us on is at the rate that we've agreed upon, that's only 38.9 hours of work. So we have to be good stewards as a council and as a city staff to manage this contract as best we can. And be very efficient, like Jesse just said. Be very efficient with Jill's time and our time to bring about progress. So I look forward to this, and I don't vote, but it has my full support. So
I did want to jump in just on her payment. And if you read in the letter that came specifically from HCA, it noted that Jill is very generous with her time. And Jill's intention is that we get this project done, right? That she is not necessarily going to limit her hours to equal that $10,000. I mean, she's willing to do more than that kind of work. She's just so passionate about it.
great. Okay. If there's no further discussion, can I get a motion to approve the contractor agreement between the City of Garden Ridge and Jill Shackelford? Lisa?
I move to approve the contractor agreement between the City of Garden Ridge and Jill Shackelford.
We have a motion to approve. Can I get a second?
Second.
We have a motion to approve and a second. Any further discussion? Call to a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, it passes unanimously. Jeanette, welcome to the Advisory Council. She's shaking her. I saw a yes, so. All right. On to item number 9D, ordinance number 23204-2022, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Garden Ridge, Texas, adopting City Council conduct policies, including a code of ethics and ethical conduct rules, providing disciplinary actions for violations of this ordinance, providing a cumulative and savings clause, providing for severability, and declaring an effective date. Before we discuss as a council, Jesse, you requested this to be on this month's agenda, so I will turn it over to you.
Right. Basically, I just wanted to keep it short, but at the December City Council meeting, our city attorney at that time mentioned that Ordinance 232 needed to be updated with respect to the home charter. So all I'm asking here is that council, that we get the city staff working with our attorney to review and revise Ordinance 232. That's, to match with our home charter. That's basically it.
Outstanding. Nancy, anything to add before we open up for council discussion?
No, sir.
Okay, thanks. Yep, like Jesse said, this was something that, Megan actually advised us on. And council, there were, Kelly, you were up here at that time? Yeah, so, I mean, all of us up here worked on that ordinance together. And it was before Kelly. That was that election was your first time. That was still John McCaw, yeah. So we worked hard on this, and it was designed for general law type A. So now that we're home rule, we have some updates that we need to make. So I think we can do this with consensus, yes, rather than we don't need a formal motion.
It would be like direction to city attorney to coordinate with staff to work on getting the revision. So if there's a consensus for us to get working on that and bring back those revisions for y'all's review, that's sufficient.
Okay. As stated, council, everybody good with consensus on directing city attorney and staff to work on this and update it for home rule?
I'm sure you guys will fix this, but it does say a city administrator on the current one, so I'm sure that'll be fixed. Yeah.
Item number 1, done. That's done already. Yeah. Okay. Anything else with that? Are we good? Okay, thanks. I got 2 thumbs up. I'm happy. Okay, moving on to item number 9E, status of recruitment process for city manager, and provide direction to staff as needed. Everybody out there heard me say earlier when we talked about canceling First Friday that we have a special council meeting day on Friday where we will meet with our final 2 candidates, narrowed down from, we started with 39 back in November, December, and now it's down to 2. And we will, those 2 candidates will spend the morning with members of council and city staff and talking. And then we'll have formal interviews in executive session that afternoon. And then perhaps some, coming out of executive session, some action. So Nancy, did I miss anything or anything you want to add to it?
No. There might be, everyone got a schedule, but there might be a little bit of adjustment that has to be done on that schedule, and we will get that to you. You may not get it until Friday morning, but just bring your schedule with you.
Yeah, bring your flexibility is the key to air power, and bring your flexibility caps and be ready to go on that, and hopefully we come away with some sort of action. So that's right. Thank you. Anything to add? No? Okay. That closes item number 9, approvals and authorizations. Moving on to 10, updates and city council projects. Lisa and Todd, anything to add for APOs tonight?
Of course I do. It's just my favorite. I did want to follow up on what Hank was talking about. We met with, regarding traffic on 2252, we met with AMPO and TxDOT in the city of Schertz. We're still in this kind of information gathering phase. So lots of talks about what the issues are, what the real issues are. It's not, I try to really enforce with people, it's not that we just don't like having a quarry there. It's that there are real issues in that area with congestion, with speeding, with the condition of the roads, with aggregate materials on the road that are, breaking windshields, all those kinds of things. So, I'm sorry? Broken down trucks, all kinds of stuff that's going on over there that we as a city feel needs to be addressed, with the overall goal of increasing safety over there. So talked some about the different intersections. Will Lockett was there, and he, I thought it was interesting that he asked how things were going at the intersection of between 252 and 3009. And I think we can all say that it has, it's improved since we changed the signaling a couple of years ago, but I'm seeing a kind of a real, resurgence of accidents at that intersection. Yeah, I mean, at least I'm seeing people talk about it, post about it online. So we talked a little bit about that, and again, there's going to be some changes coming with the development of 2252. So it's kind of just let's wait and see what that's going to look like and what happens then. We also talked about the intersection right in front of Heidelberg. If there's a way that we could adjust that. Got a lot of people that have talked to me about problems with the trucks not yielding. When they're coming out of the quarry and people are turning right to go that way and they're not yielding, and there's some congestion happening there. So in particular, those two intersections were something that Will was going to take a closer look at. We also talked about, at one point, Schertz had looked at a plan where they were considering another truck route through Schertz, and that I can't tell you where that's a good question. Where? Hank, did you get a sense of where that they had talked about? Y'all know I'm not a map person.
Were they talking about the West Connector?
I think they were talking something about the West Connector.
That's a 10 year out.
Right. Well, but they were looking at something. They were looking at something closer in. I don't know. I didn't get a great answer of where, but Schertz was going to bring that to the table as well to share with Sonia, with AMPO.
Yes, they were going to provide more data
Yes.
on some other intersections, including
Yeah,
Cooper's.
some other, route that they had considered. So that was kind of interesting. And we talked to about, if we could get this quarry consultant hired, where they could step in. If safety's the goal, what other recommendations could Jill possibly make that would help with configuring the roads, getting the roads cleaned, closing the gates, all of those kinds of things. So still very much a work in progress. One thing I told them that I would get from our citizens, and I'm still working on a way that we can do that, was some really specific examples of what's going on 2252 that people object to. I said I get posts all the time. Kelly and I get emails all the time, text messages, about concerns, and I need kind of a way to gather those so we can kind of look at that data in general and say, okay, this is what the real problem is. So again, work in progress in there. That will just keep going. I'm going to lump aggregate production operations and mitigation, and encroachment into one little area right here. I was invited to go speak at the Schoenthal Ranch Community Association. Jesse came out as well. They just wanted, I was invited by the Community Association President, Diana, and she wanted me to just give everybody an update on the quarry. They also are having a new subdivision, and this is where the encroachment part comes in. And there's a new proposed subdivision that would actually be between the quarry expansion and Schoenthal Ranch. There's a little cutout right there. 400 homes. And again, when I talk about things that maybe are not in our area that are going to impact us, I'm talking about things like this. That's 400 homes. That's more cars going down Schoenthal. 3009, that's more kids in our school. They also, Diana had invited the county engineer, and he came out, as well as the assistant county engineer, and I invited Scott Hogg, and he came out, and I was very proud of him for coming out and listening. I left after I did my little presentation. Mostly what I said, was mostly I said, what's going on with the quarry? Don't have anything much new to report to anybody, except neither the quarry or the batch plants have applied for air permits. So I don't know much more beyond that, and that's, part of what I shared with this group. But, just keep that in your, in the back of our minds. It's one of the things that I'm always looking at. One of the things that I'm speaking with Carrie Isaac and Donna Campbell's office about is, certification for our police officers. We are not able to certify our officers to, to pull over to enforce commercial motor vehicle rules. There's a carve out in the transportation code that lets it applies to like 16 different criteria, and most of that criteria has to do with the size of a city or a location near a port or a location near a border. Now, why am I working on that now? Why am I looking at that now? Because I am trying to think 5-10 years in the future. If that Vulcan quarry is passed, you know, we're going to have trucks coming down 3009 and no way for us to enforce commercial motor vehicle laws. Is that going to happen? I don't know. Can we work on getting a law passed? I don't know that either, but it's time to start working on it. And sometimes things take multiple legislative sessions. So that's out there. And, is it even something Guardridge would want to do with our officers? Don't know that either, but I'm trying to get stuff in place. So we do have some tools if we need them, just for for future planning, and we've got to be doing that. A little bit more on legislation. That also falls into encroachment and the quarry information. Carrie Isaac has filed her bills for this session. I reached out to Terry Franks to ask more information, and he went on and sent me their press release. One of the bills that has been filed is super interesting. It's House Bill 2265, and it grants Comal County limited authority to regulate land use for a limited amount of time. And you will never see the state want to give a county any kind of land use authority. And this is kind of very specific to Canyon Lake and the limited use of time, but this bill talks about more zoning authority, more plating authority, the ability to regulate water somewhat. Obviously, that's a huge issue in Canyon Lake. So it's a very interesting bill. I did reach out to Jen Crownover and see if she had anything to do with it. I suspect that she did. She said that's overselling things, but yeah. She also has 2 quarry bills. One is she both put these forward last time in the 88th session. One was incentivizing aggregate concrete crushing plants to have a reclamation plan. They get further up in the approval process if they have shown that they have reclaimed a prior quarry that they have mined, a prior area that they have mined. The other one is fence line monitoring. Again, I think Carrie proposed this last session. It seems logical that the quarries would have monitoring of air and noise and those kinds of things at their fence line, but they don't. So still looking at Donna Campbell's bills to see if she's come up with anything. Haven't seen anything yet. There's a bunch of other bills. When I get kind of all of those sorted, I'm going to come to council and talk about the ones that I think are most important and most relevant, and hope that we can find a way to support those and reach out to our legislators and say, hey, these are the ones that really matter to us, and keep pushing forward with that. And I think that's all I got.
Awesome.
I talked as fast as I could.
That was great. Thank you. Are you good to go then with mitigation of growth, or do you have anything else to add on that?
I'm good.
Okay. The only thing I want to say, I think I can lump it into growth and encroachment. It's a discussion that I want to make you guys aware of that myself, Nancy, and Stephen had together as the fires in LA were happening a month ago. And the absolute tragedy of, not enough water pressure in the hydrants to operate firefighting equipment. And so Nancy and I and Stephen had a discussion about, Stephen, how do we make sure that our hydrants, we have pressure and our hydrants are ready to go? I can say mitigation of impacts of growth and whatnot, because as the surrounding area grows, how can we ensure that the city of Gardner Ridge, has water pressure to, God forbid, have to battle a wildfire, which is entirely possible with how dry it is and what can happen. So Stephen was great with this. We maintain our pressure around 80 PSI, right, per hydrant, if we can, somewhere around that. So, and we have 199 hydrants in the city of Gardner Ridge. Do I remember that right without looking at what you sent me?
About 300.
About 300. Even Stephen rounds up. Right, so About 300, sorry. I don't know where I got 199. 500 hydrants in the city of Gardner. So about 300, and they're inspected yearly. And if they, each one, and if they, by the city, and if they fail, then they're fixed right there. So that made me feel good as the mayor about our ability to operate and make sure that there's water pressure and that the hydrants are going to work when the fire department plugs up to them. God forbid something like that happens. And then Stephen and Hank are working diligently on our Vista Ridge connection and making sure that we do it the right way. And hopefully by next month, you guys will have an update for us to be ready to pull the trigger on that, so to speak, so that if we had to operate firefighting equipment for a length of time, as we deplete our wells, we can fill up, we can make sure that we've got water coming from Vista Ridge, even though that'd be an emergency contingency operation, but that's why we're plugging into it. So I wanted to make sure you guys knew that and out there. So any questions? Okay. All right. Economic development. So Kelly, you get to go and tell us all about Dallas.
Finally, I've been sitting over here just chomping at the bit. So I had the pleasure of attending the ICSC conference up in Dallas. It's the first time.
What does ICSC stand for?
Well, I was going to get to that. It's the International Conference of Shopping Centers, okay? And it's more so a training conference for people wanting to develop retail, and it's a great networking opportunity to meet, restaurants, retail. There's high-end, mid-range. That's obviously our target, right? So, which the great thing about that is we know our target, so that cut my FaceTime with people in half. So I got to actually talk with the people I wanted to talk with. So, and that was at the recommendation of, and it was the first time Garden Ridge had ever attended. And I know you guys will all be surprised by this, but every time I told them we're from Garden Ridge, Texas, they're like, where's that? So I was surprised. The funny part is I met a guy, a city manager from Oklahoma, and he actually did know of us, but nobody else did. Yeah, and attending this, and this was at the recommendation of Retail Coach, who we just contracted as our consultant to help us go out and attract retail. And so my big takeaways from this, well, let me back up a little bit. So when I met some of these individuals, so Retail Coach had some meetings lined up for me. And so I got a chance to meet with these people. You say one-on-one, you're at a conference, you're at almost a trade show environment. And to Lisa's disappointment, there wasn't a lot of swag handed out, so she was disappointed I didn't bring her back any swag. But when you're meeting with these people one-on-one, but you're sitting there in a chair and there's a million people walking by and they'll say hi, and so you do get interrupted a little bit. But it's a great chance to start creating those relationships, right? It's all marketing, it's all business development, it's all sales, and putting Garden Ridge on the map. So a lot of people didn't hear of Garden Ridge. They had never heard of Garden Ridge. When I got back, there are a lot of people that have heard of Garden Ridge now. So especially when I told them our 5 mile retail population, which is about 122,000. 112,000, and that our median household income in that 5 mile radius is 122,000. It piqued a lot of interest from especially the fast casual restaurants, and that was a new term I learned over the week, is fast casual. So obviously you don't want fast food here in Garden Ridge, but fast casual is a nice complement to fine dining, more affordable places for visitors and us to eat during lunch times and or during events. So we want this almost this theme of stay and play. You come here for a football game, you come here for a volleyball game, come here for anything, and for the Caverns especially. Yeah, they were a lot of people were surprised we didn't have a lot of retail because of the Caverns and having the largest bat cave in our backyard in North America. So that piqued a lot of interest. Of course, I had my our little drawings of our concepts that we had drawn up for our poster boards that we had put at First Fridays, and And that's the great thing too. When you're at this conference, you meet these. You're not only meeting, the restaurants, the fine dining, the retail, mid and upper retail, but you're meeting developers and you're meeting architects. And so I went and visited the architects that had their big trade show booth up, and I thought, wow, that would be so awesome in our city, right? And went directly to them and talked to them. So they have our information. Retail Coach has already reached out to one. One that I talked to, they said, really? They didn't know where Garden Ridge was, but they were looking in our area. So, and they're a higher end retail establishment, so a developer. Let's see, what else do I have here? But the one thing I learned, and I kind of knew this. I mean, we knew this, but it just kind of confirmed this to me when when I was in the different training courses and just talking to these companies. But you want to create your vision, right? You create your vision of what you want, and you get it designed, and that's the big thing. When you show somebody your vision, that's going to have to be our next project is creating something, whether it's at the corner of 2252 and 399 or down 2252 a little ways. Show them what our vision is, and that if you build it, they'll come kind of thing, right? So if you design it, you'll start pulling those type of people your direction. That's when they know you're serious. And so that's something I'll be talking to you guys about more here shortly, and Retail Coach will be as well. So. You create that vision, then you create a wish list of the types of businesses you want, and actual businesses that you want. If there's certain restaurants that we want, and so we're going to work on you can talk about this if you want, but we've talked about putting out something on the social media pages to get some feedback from our residents as far as what they want to see come here. So. Do you want to talk a little bit more on that?
I'll just briefly talk about it. What Kelly and I, in all things council related, we need citizen input, right? We want to bring our citizens in. We want to know what they think, what they want, what their preferences are, what they don't want. So we're trying to figure out a way. Maybe it's a Survey Monkey on city website or any of the social media pages, just to kind of get some ideas of what people are thinking about and make sure that we are their ideas and our ideas and Retail Coach's ideas are congruent. Did want to mention, Kelly mentioned fast casual, and that was a new term to me as well. And I wanted to get, Starbucks is an example of fast casual. So that may help people think of what that looks like.
Right.
The other thing is I had great fear of missing out. I had FOMO while he was there, and he promised me swag, and he did not bring swag back. So next conference, I've got to go get some swag and talk to these people. It's very exciting stuff. So I'm glad Kelly went.
Awesome. One more thing I had.
We can mention too that we're going to start meeting monthly with Retail Coach online for the most part, so we'll just keep things going.
Right. Yeah. So we'll have our monthly meeting, but we did actually we had some takers that they're extremely interested actually in coming here already. Some are standalone. Some need to be in that marketplace kind of environment, but can't release any names yet because obviously there's anonymity that they want and that we want too, because I don't want anybody else to get them. So, all right, that's all I have.
Thanks, guys. Awesome. Anything? Okay. That concludes item number 10. On to item number 11, discussion of future agenda items. Anything you guys want to see on March's agenda? Todd?
Lisa kind of got my interest going on this when we were talking about the growth encroachment in the next Texas legislative session. And I don't know how blanket we can go on it, but perhaps we need to have a discussion about the Texas legislative session and the things we would like to push. I have a concern about annexation and we have all this growth going on around us, and the legislature of the state of Texas has basically removed the ability of municipalities to protect themselves and their citizens from whatever coming in. And I could put up ludicrous examples, but if Walmart decides they want to build a warehouse service center right across from Davenport High School on that land that's, kind of behind the fire department, there is nothing we can do about it. And then you could have 5,000 trucks a day coming up 3009.
So do you want Texas legislative session discussion?
Yeah, about potential topics to push to them. I know they're
Okay.
filing their bills now, but
Yep.
let's add that.
Okay.
Would be something I'd like to do, just to have a discussion about the legislative session.
We'll put that on there.
Yeah, and I can help with that. I'm tracking lots of bills. You can go online to one of the services, and you can put in the bill, the type of what you're interested in, and it will feed you, the subjects that you're interested in, it will feed you bills that have been filed on that subject or updates of bills that have been filed. So I can certainly help with that.
Todd, you could come to an NEP lunch too. We talk about it all the time.
Well, what do you know?
Put that on the agenda.
I'm going to be more available now.
All right. Actually, yeah. Jesse, anything you want? Lisa? Kelly? All right, moving on to item number 12, citizen comment period. Limited to 2 minutes. You don't have to have signed up for it, but come on forward, state your name, and sign in with Marissa when you're all done. Ken, certainly not your first rodeo. It's good to see you. The floor is yours, sir.
Ken Kniper, 8891 Shanetal Road. I was going to give you a brief update. I've been going to school board meetings for a while now. The bond issue that was last passed, the elementary school is finished, the roof is done, the playground is in, the high school, they're putting in the 2 more tennis courts, they're moving the practice football field further towards the drive. The ag barn and the extension and the poultry barn are scheduled to be finished by at least 15th of October. The school board found enough money to extend on the home side, the stadium, instead of ending at about the 20-yard line or 25-yard, about the 30-yard line, it's not going to end at about the 15-yard line on both ends. Same height, and then we're going to add a lot more seating for home side. I've also got to meet the principal from Piper High School. He's already negotiating, trying to get more stadium seating on his visitor side. For those of you who've never been to Piper, if you've ever seen a college football stadium, that's their home side. It's got a 3-tier press box, nothing like what we got. Right now, our softball team is filling up our home stands just for scrimmages, for JV and for varsity. So we are growing. And if you get a chance, get on the campus, walk that campus, or just drive through it. It's open. It's closed during the day because you can't drive all the way through, but most of the time on weekends, there are pathways you can find your way through. If you want to take a quick tour with me, I'll be glad to drive you around and show you some of the things that I can point out to you. Thank you, and you all have a great week.
Thanks, Ken. Go Wolves. Anybody else? All right, that'll conclude citizen comment period. On to item number 13, reports and comments from mayor and city council members. Anybody jump in if you have any updates with the stuff listed? Nothing? Okay. Todd, love to see you at Northeast Partnership Lunch. It's next week, next Thursday.
There are a couple of things. I'm sorry, go on. I did want to note that the Women's Club is having their Valentine's dance on the 14th. I think there's still single tickets available, and Garden Ridge Lions Club has their fish fry in March. And I am enjoying the Garden Ridge Citizen Police Academy Alumni Association. It's fun class.
Awesome, thanks. Kelly? All right. Executive session, item number 14. The council will recess its open meeting and reconvene in closed session, 14A, pursuant to Texas Government Code Section 551.0711, pending or contemplated litigation, and 551.0712, consultation with city attorney on the following items. 14A1, petition for declaratory judgment, Eric Fisher versus City of Garden Ridge, cause number Charlie 2024-1164 Bravo. 14A2, notice of claim letter pursuant to Texas Tort Claims Act, Craig Dillard versus City of Garden Ridge, cause number Charlie 2024-1193 Echo. 14A3, notice of claim letter for payment of invoice We Love Trees. It's 7:55. Let's go with, let's take 10 minutes, and then we'll go with 8:05 in the back. Does that work? Okay. Thanks, everybody, for coming. We are in recess for Are we good? All right, glasses. We are done with executive session. Item number 15, business items. There's nothing to bring out from executive session. Item number 16, adjournment. There being no further business, city council regular meeting is adjourned at 8:13 p.m. Happy Valentine's Day. Good job, council. Thanks.